Greetings, Earthlings. This microphone costs only around $100, which is absolutely crazy. This is the SE Electronics X1a. Full disclosure, I did buy it with my own money. If you want to check it out, I'll throw some links in the description down below. All of my recording settings will be listed in the doobly-doo as well as the description. And now let's talk about what comes in the box. What a shocker, you get the microphone, a microphone clip, a 5/8 to 3/8 inch microphone stand adapter, a tiny bit of documentation, and a couple of stickers. Then as far as the build quality, I would say this feels pretty good. It has an all-metal body with a metal mesh grille, which does have a little bit of give to it. On the front, you have two switches, which don't feel the sturdiest. They have a little bit of wobble to them, and they feel like kind of flimsy plastic. One is a 100 Hz at 6 dB per octave high-pass filter. The other is a -20 decibel pad. As we move around the microphone, there are no other buttons or switches. On the bottom, you have the XLR port, and whether you care or not, this mic is made in China. I'm not going to read all of the specs to you, but I will have them posted up on screen as well as listed in the description in case you want to pause or dive a little bit deeper and look closer at anything. Now spinning around the X1a to 90 degrees, here is how it sounds. Continuing around to 180 degrees, this is the rear of the mic. Continuing around to the second 90-degree angle, there it is. And then continuing and ending at the front of the mic. Now let's see how this thing handles plosive rejection. Please provide prepared pizza pronto, pals. Please provide prepared pizza pronto. Please provide prepared pizza pronto, papi papoo. Now I am right on top of the microphone while keeping a very close eye on the meters to exaggerate the proximity effect, and here is how it's sounding. Here's how it sounds about 6 inches off of the corner of my mouth. Now about 1 foot away from the mic, about 2 feet away from the microphone, and about 4 feet away from the SE X1a. Now I'm typing on a keyboard with Gatoron blue switches to see how much of my voice versus how much of the keyboard it picks up. And now for the gamers, I am typing on the SAD W and spacebar keys. Now here is how the X1a sounds about 6 inches away from my mouth in a relatively well-treated room. And now here is how the X1a sounds about 6 inches away from my mouth in a completely untreated room. Next, I want to see how the microphone and mount handle shock rejection, so I'll start by tapping on my desk to see how much of that it can reject. And then I will tap on the boom arm. I also want to be thorough, so I'm going to tap on the body of the microphone to see if there are any kind of resonant frequencies. Again, I am right on top of the microphone to exaggerate the proximity effect, and the high pass filter is off. Now I have engaged the 100 Hz high pass filter, which is 6 dB per octave. Here is how it's sounding as I breathe heavily. Let's go ahead and turn off the high pass filter, and here's how it sounds again. And then this is with that high pass filter engaged. Now let's see how the pad is engaged, so I will keep talking and switch it on. Let's go ahead and switch it off, switch it on again, switch it off again, and there you go. Now let's do a quick spoken word comparison between the X1a and a bunch of other microphones just because that is helpful. Starting on the X1a, 6 inches off, no pad, no filter. Gain on the 18i20 is set at 1230, and here's how it sounds. First, we have the MXL990, 6 inches off, gain still at 1230, recording 24-bit 48 kilohertz. This microphone costs somewhere around $100. That's the first one. Let's move on. Back on the X1a to clear out your ear holes, here's how it sounds. Let's hear another microphone. Next, I'm on the Audio Technica AT2020, 6 inches off, gain at 1230. This is pretty much the $100 condenser microphone. That is enough talking. Let's move on. This is the SE X1a again. I understand what that spells. Let's go to another microphone. Now I am on the Lewitt LC240, 6 inches off, gain at 1230, 24, 48. This microphone also costs about $100. I guess there are a lot of options at this price point. That's enough talking, let's go to the next one. Here is the X1a. In case you haven't heard me enough, let's hear some more audio samples. Next, I'm on the Avantone CK6 6 inches off, gain at 1230, no pad and no filter engaged. This microphone costs about $120-ish, and here is how this sounds compared to the whatever we're doing. Here's another palette cleanser on the SE Electronics X1a. That's enough talking, let's move on. Now I'm on the Neat King Bee version 2, 6 inches off, gain at 1230. I just say that so I have something to say that is consistent. This microphone costs about $170. There are no pads and no filters. That is enough talking on this, enough of a sample. Let's move on. Alright, we are almost halfway through this. This is the X1a again. Let's hear the next mic. Next, I'm on the Earthworks SR117, 6 inches off, gain at 1230. This is meant to function as a point of reference because this is a relatively flat mic. That will allow us to hear the character of the X1a a lot more. This costs about $200. I will have to boost this a lot more. Let's move on. This is the X1a again. Thank goodness we are more than halfway done. Let's move to another microphone. Now I'm on the original SE Electronics X1, no pad, no filters. When I reviewed this, this cost about $200, so the X1a is half the price, and here is how this sounds compared to its much newer, much more affordable little brother. Alright, we're getting very near the end. This is the X1a. Let it clear your ears. Let's move on. Now back onto more direct competition. I am on the Rode NT1 5th Gen, 6 inches, 1230 on the gain. This microphone costs about $250, no pads and no filters, and here is how this sounds compared to the X1a. Hey, it's the X1a again. We have 3 more to go, so that's enough talking. Let's go to the next one. Now I am on the SE Electronics SE2200A-2-C. No pad, no filters engaged, 6 inches, 1230 on the gain. When I reviewed this, it cost about $300, so 3x the price of the X1a. Do you hear 3x the difference? Let's go back and do one more, I think. This is the penultimate palette cleanser on the X1a. That's enough talking. Let's go to the next mic. I guess I lied because now I am on the SE Electronics SE4400A, cardioid pattern, no pad, no filters, 6 inches off, gain at 1230. This microphone costs about $500, so quite a bit more than the X1a, but I wanted to include it just out of my own curiosity. That is enough of that sample. Let's go to the last mic now. And this is the final comparison on the X1a. That is enough talking. Let's go to the last microphone right now. I am on the Neumann Neumann U87 Ai, 6 inches off, gain at 12 o'clock, cardioid polar pattern, no pad, no filters. This is not meant to be a fair comparison. This microphone costs about $3,700, which makes it 37 times more expensive than the X1a. This is meant to be a point of reference, a point of comparison, a control from video to video. That is enough talking. Let us end this test section with some music. What's up? I've got something I need to say, and I think that you're gonna hear it now. I'm still obsessing about Domino's and Pizza Hut and even Papa John's. Okay, that's a little bit of a lie. It's not true anymore, so it's a big bit of a lie, but I have nothing else to sing about. So I'm just falling back on old habits. That's the music test, and that's enough. Bye-bye.
I am stuck in suspended preponderances. How does one start the analysis of a microphone analysis review?
Let's find out. Well, the fact that this microphone costs $100 is kind of crazy to me. But first up, as far as pros, has to be the sound of this thing. It is just offering a much tamer top end than a lot of other microphones around the $100 price point. At this price, most microphones seem very top heavy. This seems a little bit more natural. Also, at this price point, you very rarely get a pad or a high pass filter. On this mic, you get both. And this has a relatively low self-noise at 16 dBA. The LCT240 is 19, the 2020 is 20 dBA, the 990 is 20, and the Avantone CK6 is 17. So of the bunch that I compared it against, this has the lowest. But then as far as cons, the mic does have a little bit of resonance, and that makes it more susceptible to shocks and handling noise, so I highly recommend using a shock mount if you can. Also, the microphone didn't do the best job at please provide plosive rejection, please rejection, so again, I would recommend using a pop filter. And the switches on this don't feel the best. They feel a little bit flimsy, so I would be careful with those for fear of breaking them off. And now, what are my overall thoughts and opinions of the X1a? As far as the overall sound, I would say this has a fairly robust low end, but it doesn't get into the territory of being muddy. Then you get this clear and open midsection, and then you have this slight lift in the treble and air, but it doesn't sound overdone, and it doesn't sound harsh or artificial. On the electric guitar, I thought it worked well because you get this detailed sound without it sounding too top-heavy. On the acoustic guitar, I think it may have slightly too much body in neutral mode, so I'd throw on the inbuilt high-pass filter, but the treble and air are natural and sound great. For singing, you get plenty of support in the low end and a clear top end without it coming across too bright, and for spoken word, I would say this leans more towards the natural or neutral side of things. You do still get some extension into the bass and low mids, a non-congested midsection, and then you do have a bit of a lift in the treble and air, but it's not as aggressive as a lot of other microphones around the $100 price point. And to wrap up, would I recommend the X1a? Yes, I would. If you're looking for a mic in the $100-ish budget and you want something that's less bright than the other microphones sitting around this price point, then I would say go for it because I think it sounds great. It has great specs. I do think it has its drawbacks, as every microphone around this price point does. So if you get this, I highly recommend using it with a shock mount and using it with a pop filter. If you get the first-party versions from SE, that'll bump the price to $150, so quite a bit more expensive, but still at that price point, I think this thing sounds really good if you're looking for that slightly more natural sound.